The club in chaos in every aspect after the Brighton defeat. Erik ten Hag has suffered 3 defeats in 5 Premier League matches this season, with Manchester United's on-field form reflecting the subsequent decline. Now, Manchester United take a trip to Bayern Munich in the Champions League after weekend's loss to Brighton. This week coincides with the city's Oktoberfest at Munich, the world's largest beer festival. It's also a good time for the almost 3,779 United fans who make the trip, as they will likely to relieve their sadness as the German champions and Hurricane are ready to add to their misery. It's no surprise that United boss Erik ten Hag has been reluctant to talk about his team's Premier League title chances ahead of the new season. Despite last season's progress under his watch, after 3 defeats in 5 games, United are in 13th place, 9 points behind champions and league leaders Manchester City, and any title hopes are a season away. Unlike Brighton, who won 4 consecutive league wins against United, Ten Hag's broken team has no identity, no urgency, no unity, and no courage. United were very lucky to get the 6 points. Wolves dominated them in their opening game of the season, with Rafael Varane late header giving United an undeserved win. Against Nottingham, United were 2-0 down after 4 minutes, only to come back to win 3-2 thanks to a second-half penalty. Marcus Rashford was accused of diving to the win, although he got the penalty. In between these fortune victories was a defeat to Tottenham and a consecutive defeat to Arsenal, and then another defeat to Brighton, exposed many of United's shortcomings. United's big players, expected to step up in difficult times, have withered. Casemiro, peripheral throughout, came off after just the hour mark, while captain Bruno Fernandes failed to inspire the star striker Rashford, faded after a strong start. On and off the field, United were a disaster. Brazilian winner Anthony, now not available for selection as he is defending himself against allegation of physical assault. His compatriot Jadon Sancho was also suspended and forced to train alone for criticizing Ten Hag on social networks about his exclusion from the squad in the loss to Arsenal. And uncertainty remains over United's future ownership, with owners criticized as the Glazers having launched a bid for the club, only for the proposed takeover saga to drag on for years. Almost 10 months now since was announced. It all amount to a crisis at the club that has been in turmoil since Sir Alex Ferguson resigned a decade ago. Following United's last Premier League title, Ten Hag is United's 5th permanent manager since Sir Alex Ferguson, and while last season's progress suggested he could be the man to save them from mediocrity, this season's results suggest otherwise, opposite of what United fans thought it will be as of this season. Erik ten Hag, although believes Manchester United can win against Bayern Munich in midweek, but will they have to be at their best? Yes, they will. Although Ten Hag was speaking after Saturday's humbling home defeat to Brighton, which handed United their 3rd Premier League defeat of the campaign in just 5 matches, their 3 losses were all by a margin of 2 goals, showing the huge difference they need to make to be a turnaround to this season. Although it will be too early to claim United are in crisis at such an early stage of the season, they are trying to turn things around quickly. They will have to face one of the toughest tests on Wednesday. The most difficult part of European football makes the trip to Munich on that Wednesday night. Man United have plenty of question marks surrounding them after being beaten 3-1 by Brighton at Old Trafford on Saturday. Danny Welbeck, Pascal Gross, and Joao Pedro all scored for the Seagulls, while Hannibal Mejri scored for a consolation goal for United. The disappointing defeat comes after manager Erik ten Hag's busy international break during which Anthony was told to stay away from the public while he defended himself against his allegations of physical assault by a former partner and feud with Jadon Sancho. Meanwhile, the takeover process remains quiet, leaving Sir Alex, Jim Ratcliffe, and Qatari banker Sheikh Hassim bin Hamad Al Thani wondering 299 days after the Glazers announced their intention to explore strategic alternatives. Gary Neville once again tore the Glazers apart after Saturday's defeat. Former Man United goalkeeper Peter Schmeichel criticized Lisandro Martinez for trying to be a hero. In his team's 3-1 loss to Brighton, Peter Schmeichel breached Lisandro Martinez's defense after their 3-1 defeat. United were beaten at home. Their third loss. Peter Schmeichel criticized Lisandro Martinez defending during Manchester United's 3-1 defeat, saying the Argentine was trying to be a hero. It was a second disappointing defeat in a row for Ten Hag's side at their Old Trafford. The Red Devils conceded 3 goals in their first 5 matches. The club have now dropped to 13th place. Danny Welbeck gave Roberto De Zerbi's side the lead after 20 minutes. After Ten Hag's first season, which saw them qualify for the Champions League and the Carabao Cup, as well as an FA Cup final appearance, this is the year Manchester United will be title favourites. That was the problem in the boardroom at Old Trafford and at Carrington, where, in an office overlooking the first team training ground, Ten Hag plotted to ensure that his second campaign would truly lift about United. Manchester City hegemony will be threatened if the intelligent Dutchman does what the team has wanted since Sir Alex Ferguson left a decade ago. A team that could win the title race until May, but no, not so far, as they have collected 6 points from their first 4 matches, which a goal difference of -2 in all both losses. The opening month left supporters begging for an hour or two of calm, given the fuss and crisis that had engulfed their club through a series of mistakes, bad luck, mismanagement, and injury news. Ten Hag United's campaign in crisis, and the 52-year-old will certainly feel uneasy. He should, because as a social climber, his job is to do exactly what is required today. Guiding United through the seemingly endless fog of problems, Manchester United versus Nottingham Forest. Anthony of Manchester United during the Premier League match between Manchester United and Nottingham Forest at Old Trafford in Manchester, England. This included Anthony, who is accused of several acts of violence against 3 women, which surely will be a very, very big defeat to Manchester United, losing the winger who starts in every Premier League match as long as Ten Hag is the managing coach. The Brazilian has placed on leave to deal with the allegations and was not present for Brighton's visit on Saturday. There is also Jadon Sancho, winger bought 3 years ago, who questioned Ten Hag's explanation for dropping him in the 3-1 defeat to Arsenal before the truce. Ten Hag claimed Sancho had not trained well enough to make the trip, prompting the 24-year-old to reply that he was a scapegoat and that I will not allow people to say things that are not true. Sancho trains alone while awaiting disciplinary action after refusing to apologize. Then came injuries that kept Luke Shaw and Tyrell Malacia out for long periods of time and led to Sergio Reguilon being sent out on loan despite the left back not being able to play regularly for Tottenham. Shaw's hamstring problem then surfaced on the same Thursday as Brandon Williams, who plays in the same position, was loaned out to Ipswich. Beside them in the infirmary, Rafael Varane, absent for the foreseeable future. Then there is the embarrassing case of Harry Maguire, bought for a record 80 million 4 years ago. The 30-year-old was for sale for much of this summer, unable to move, then told at the end of August that he was needed by default and decided, due to Varane's absence to stay. Mason Mount has now also been absent since the two loss at Spurs in August due to an unspecified problem. He could also return against Bayern, as could Lisandro Martinez. Ten Hag's other regular centre-back, but Sofian Amrabat, the midfielder on loan from Fiorentina, is signed with a short-term back injury. Consider Rasmus Højlund, who was signed for an initial fee of 64 million in early August, but suffered a back problem that kept him out of action until making his debut as a substitute in the defeat to Arsenal, as well as emerging youngster Kobbie Mainoo of Ten Hag, who has been injured. Pre-season ankle injury. He's still recovering, and the manager may wonder if he's cast.